In 1949, it was simply known as the Agronomy Farm. By the 1990s, it was called the Agronomy Research Center. Today, it's the Agronomy Center for Research and Education, but for those who know it and work there, it is still simply known as the farm. In 1949, the Agronomy Department purchased a well-known farm that belonged to Edwin G. Lyman of the Lyman Coal Company in Lafayette, Indiana. Oscar W. Lutkmeyer, affectionately known as Ozzie, was the Agronomy Farm's first superintendent, beginning in 1949.
The first farm manager, Ozzie, was here for 37 years. The second farm manager, Jim, was here for 35. So I've been getting a lot of jokes from people that I've got to go about 33 years to keep the trend alive.
My dad was the first superintendent of the Purdue Agronomy Farm, and he and Mom moved into the little house on the farm. It was kind of on the south end of the property. As you know, we had a long lane up to the farm.
A big deal with my dad was that the agronomy farm would look great, particularly that lane that you come down in order to go to the farm. That had to look spectacular.
He got involved in all the research out there. He knew whose plots were in what field, what they were experimenting with, and tremendous knowledge of agriculture.
Dad did the work, but Mom was the ambassador of the farm.
When I came on the faculty, this was a relatively new, 8 or 10-year-old research facility. The buildings here on my left were here when I was here, and the other little building was the only shop they had. It was tiny compared to the facilities today.
I can remember on field day, we would have thousands of visitors taking these wagon rides. All the farmers could get together, compare their farming experiences. That is Miss Purdue Agronomy Farm mini tour lady. Pop used her picture and my motorcycle to advertise field days.
I think one of the key things of this farm has been our ability to do extension work. The extension audiences include the farmers and producers themselves.
As a research facility, it provides the faculty with an opportunity to advance the state of science.
One of the great things about ACRE is our ability to teach students with hands-on learning. It's really important for students to be able to see and feel and touch real soil, real plants, and be able to learn some of those topics hands-on.
As we've been kind of looking back and looking at some of the current research that has been going on, it's just been very inspiring to think of all the research and discovery and innovation that has happened here at this location.
You can't talk about ACRE without talking about the research in plant breeding. Everyone knows about Gabisa ajata, developing the best sorghum breeding program in the world.
I was always impressed, I think, by the diversity of the experiments that were going on. We had research in popcorn.
Plant breeding has been going on out here since we started, and we know a lot more about our genetics now than we did.
The breeding programs in wheat were fantastic, and Stan Barber's work in soil fertility sort of set the standards for good fertility research back in the 80s and 90s.
So we have a lot of research that I would still kind of say harkens back to that core research, but I would say in the last 5 to 10 years, we've started to see a lot of research in the areas of digital ag and precision agriculture.
There is so much good research has gone on here that can't even begin to talk about all of it.
The farm started in 1949 at 374 acres. We are now 1,600 acres, and we're accommodating research by over 90 different faculty across 15 different departments.
The farm has changed dramatically in the years. The road that you see behind me did not have any buildings on my right.
We were a little over 700 acres when I came, and when I left, we were about double that.
One thing that did happen during the 90s was the development of the Diagnostic Training Center here on the farm, and it is one of a kind, really, and sort of the envy of the Midwest as far as a training facility is concerned.
I have been back several times to see how it has grown, and I barely recognize it now.
Some other things that changed are crop production practices. We've become more efficient with the use of fertilizers. The use of chemicals has changed. Another thing that I remember is how field days and education changed over time. When Ozzie was here, the big events were huge field days. Field day
was amazing because you had all these farmers, not only from Indiana, but from throughout the world.
It was a pilgrimage to come to the agronomy farm for either the summer field day or the fall field day, and they rotated. Well, we started the Diagnostic Training Center, which gave people individual training and hands-on training, and individual training has become very popular, and I think the Diagnostic Training Center is a good example that we're teaching people in one day some very important hands-on education. Some of the changes physically on the farm is the Agricultural Center, which is named after the Beck family that helped contribute to that. And then the capstone on that is the Corn and Soybean Innovation Center, where the researchers can really get down to the genetics involved. And so those facilities, along with the solar panels, phenotyping rail, just a lot of technologies going into our research now. It's more than just a farm. It is truly a research center.
I think it's really incredible to think about where we started to, now this huge breadth of impact and interaction with research and all across campus.
One of the amazing things about the farm that I remember is how it developed into nationally recognized and internationally recognized field laboratory for agricultural researchers.
We get hundreds of folks coming through this facility every year to look at how we do research, look at some of our really amazing facilities.
So I have had peers from other institutions that have come, for various meetings or to talk about research. Most of the time they're actually quite envious that they don't necessarily have such a good facility at their home institution.
A lot of very jealous folks from other universities a lot of times looking at what we have and wanting to model some of their research farms after what we have.
Dean Thompson, after I got here, really wanted us to get recognized, and one way we did that was having national and international groups here.
One thing that sticks in my brain was when the entourage from the King of Afghanistan came, and it got me thinking about the national and international effect of the agronomy farm. It had influence not only to farmers in Indiana, but farmers all over the world were seeking the advice of those folks that worked at the agronomy farm.
We hit all three aspects: research, extension, and the students, and we're able to integrate that.
Dad's big thing was that we're in the business here to feed the world. That's our goal.
I've been thinking about my feelings regarding coming back to ACRE. I put my blood, sweat, and tears and life for 34 years in it, so it has a special place for me. People ask, how we did it all. Well, we did it with good people.
When I bring visitors to town, or friends come to town, we always drive out here and I tell them about my part in the development of the ACRE, or the Agronomy Research Farm as I call it, and brag about it and say I had a little bit to do with this, and it's one of the greatest facilities around.
And I absolutely encourage folks to come out and visit the farm.
I feel like it's a great success story.
We're always very proud to show off how amazing ACRE is.